This video is sponsored by Isekai Demon Waifu and Doki Doki Palace. So there's like 3 significant things that happen in this chapter. 2 of them are pretty objective and we don't really need to speculate too much about them. However, one, we're gonna have to speculate about a lot. And it has to do with Eri ? And what I'm going to be talking about is probably going to anger some of you, and that's fine, but we need to talk about this for sure because I think Horikoshi did this intentionally. But anyway, the second significant thing that happens in this chapter is Jiro straight up losing her ear. So in the midst of this fight, All For One decides to make like this huge like Resident Evil cannon thing, and this is a result of him just mixing his quirks together, and he's just able to make like this eclectic grotesque cannon out of it. He winds up shooting like this massive air cannon at Tokoyami and Jiro, and at the last second Hawks comes in shooting his feathers at the cannon, moving it just enough so that it doesn't completely annihilate Jiro and Tokoyami, but he wasn't able to move it enough because it was still able to graze Jiro here, taking off her ear. And this is important because we know that her ears are her quirk. So now she's missing 1/2 of her quirk since, you know, the whole earlobe thing is gone now. Now this isn't the end for Jiro, of course, and while she is down 1/2 of her power, this sequence seems to boost her power of friendship up to 200% because she rejects All For One's rhetoric about who's strong and who's weak, and she's like, all that I know is you made my friends cry. And if you're a villain in a shonen battle manga and you hear a protagonist say that regardless of their order on the call sheet, you know you're in trouble. And she winds up hitting him with her heartbeat wall legato, and this sends us to the sequence inside of All For One's Vestige world. So let's talk about the sponsor of this video, and that is Isekai Demon Waifu and Doki Doki Palace. So this is a free-to-play mobile game where you will come back as a demon prince of the other world and write your unique legends. Along the way, prepare to explore the mysterious lands, meet countless beauties, and assemble powerful guardians to protect your domain. Are you going to be a nobody or satisfy your appetite as the demon prince? Your journey in the other world starts here. Dominate real-time PvP. The strongest wins respect. Enhance your kingdom's strength and challenge other players. Defeat them at all costs and fight for the highest honor in cross-server battles. Leave romantic legacies. You can use the portal to travel anywhere on the Paladina continent and encounter a variety of beautiful girls along the way. Use your charm to melt their hearts and increase your affections to boost your kingdom's power. Guys, if you're interested in playing this amazing game that has already collabed with many interesting anime IPs and will continue to collab with famous animes, please check out the link in the description. You can find Isekai Demon Waifu on the Google Play Store, and if you're on the App Store, you can find it as Doki Doki Palace. Thanks, guys. And that brings us to the third significant part of this chapter, where we see some of the vestiges of the quirks that All For One has stolen. And they begin to like rebel against him, like holding him back. And All For One thinks to himself, are these the wills of the people whose quirks I've stolen? Impossible. Could New Order have exposed me to this? So this is in reference to back when Shigaraki / All For One was fighting against the #1 American hero, Star and Stripe. And at the end of that fight, as All For One took her quirk from her, she made one last order using her quirk ability that would cause her quirk to rebel against All For One and his other quirks. So she became like this big hulking vestige and did as advertised. And at that time, it was revealed that there was in fact like this vestige world within All For One. But as it was also revealed with the whole One For All vestige stuff, that there's kind of like a part of your soul, or at least it's implied as much, that is stored within your quirk factor. So that's why we see like these vestiges or these force ghosts. And I guess in this sequence, in this chapter, it can be interpreted that these vestiges of the quirks that All For One had stolen and the residual soul fragment within them that gives them some kind of pseudo facsimile of a personality that they had, witness Star and Stripe rebelling against All For One, and maybe they realized that, hey, you know, we could do that too. And that's fine and all, but one of the vestiges here looks just like Eri. It's a woman with a horn coming out of her forehead. And this woman is given spotlight in 3 different panels, 2 of them actually closing up on her. And that brings us to like the main question here. Is this a coincidence or is this intentional by Horikoshi? And I'm thinking it's more so the latter, because why would he do this if it didn't have any significance or some kind of tie to Eri? I mean, yes, we do see another guy here who has horns on his head, but clearly it's much different than the one that we see here, which is near identical to the setup that Eri has. Now, obviously, this isn't Eri herself, because this is like a full-grown woman and Eri is still a child. And also, we know that All For One hasn't taken Eri's quirk, at least yet. It's a possibility that that may happen later on, or at least somebody else is getting Eri's quirk, in my opinion, whether it's Shigaraki, All For One, or Izuku himself. But I don't think that completely takes Eri off the table here. It's possible that this is like her mother, because her hair looks extremely similar to Eri's mother's hair. So I guess it's possible that this is either Eri's mother or one of Eri's ancestors, which means that Eri's horn that she has was actually a hereditary trait. And I think that's really interesting, because Eri's rewind quirk and the time ability or whatever that goes into it is tied directly to the horn. And considering that it was explicitly revealed that Eri's rewind quirk is a variant, similar to the decay quirk in that it kind of just was born with Eri, didn't have any kind of prior existence. So like her parents, especially her mother or any other ancestors, didn't have the rewind quirk or didn't have any element of the rewind quirk. Like how Bakugo's parents had a nitro and a glycerin quirk, and that led to Bakugo having a nitroglycerin quirk. Not the case with Eri. She's just a genetic anomaly that was born with this insane rewind quirk. That leads us to another question of why does rewind tie into the horn? Because the horn seems to have some kind of stockpiling aspect to rewind, because once she uses rewind it gets smaller. Is it possible that this is the original power stockpiler quirk that All For One took and gave to his brother Yoichi, which eventually led to the creation of the One For All quirk? I don't want to go too deep into that, although it would be pretty cool if that was actually the case here and it would all come full circle and everything is kind of connected and related. In theory, why did All For One take Eri's mother's quirk here, or one of her ancestors? Because she wouldn't have any kind of rewind ability. And clearly if she did, All For One would have used it to de-potato-fy himself, as well as used it on like other things. And if All For One did take her quirk, then it has to be something substantial. He's not just taking random quirks for no reason. Your guess is as good as mine, but it seems like if this is Eri's mother, then All For One is simply tied to her because I guess Horikoshi wants it that way so that everyone has a motivation together to take him down. Because it was recently revealed that he was the one who made Dabi the way that he is, and Overhaul is tied to that as well, because Overhaul was in the same secret One For All hatred orphanage that he put Dabi in. So why not have him tied to the other big storyline in the series with Eri? Because we know that Eri accidentally killed her father by like reverting him to nothingness. And I guess afterwards her mom disowned her because she didn't want to have anything to do with that. And that's what led to the Shihai Hasakai boss taking Eri, which eventually led to her meeting Overhaul and that whole thing. So what if All For One is the cause of that? Maybe Eri's mom didn't abandon her or disown her, and All For One, I don't know, stepped in for some reason and either killed her or took her quirk or something, and then that's why Eri, you know, was led to the life that she had to live. And it comes full circle and it's like, yeah, All For One was responsible for everything, so we all collectively have motivation to take him down, other than him just being the demon lord. I don't know. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, guys. And if you liked the video, please give it a like. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.